You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
No. Hi, everybody.
We're on episode 100 and something or other.
It's episode 124, actually.
Ooh, see? It's 100 something
Yeah.
or other.
124.
It's been a while. We decided not to do the live stream tonight because we just need to get back into this.
Yeah.
Get our flow going again. That was kind of my thought on let's stay away from the live stream tonight and just go for the...
Get back to riffing off each other.
Yeah, get comfortable again. Obviously, we had a couple weeks we had to cancel. Mara wasn't feeling well last week. Rudy, who was supposed to be here with us tonight, got the con crud, so...
And cod crud is brutal.
Yes, it is.
I'm so glad I didn't go to that con. I almost went. Almost.
Which one was it?
Columbus.
Oh, that's right.
The Columbus Toy and Comic Expo.
So in a couple weeks, we're going to do a podcast with Rudy discussing toys. Collecting toys. What are some of our favorite toys to collect?
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Something totally different. So first thing I do tonight is mention our sponsors. Good news on that front.
Oh.
I talked to the Flint Institute of Arts today. They are re-upping for another year.
Yay!
A year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, they always do a year at a time.
Wow.
So we're going to get a check from them in the next couple weeks, and that'll help pay for stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Who else do we got? Because, by the way, they actually moved me out. I no longer live in...
The Flint Institute.
And no longer live in the Institute of Arts anymore.
Yeah.
I'm now in this weird shed out back.
Yeah.
It's a little disturbing. It smells a little bit like copper, so I'm kind of concerned about what goes on in there.
Yeah.
But, you know.
It's my work shed.
Just don't drink the water.
No water. No water.
Not yet. Still not safe. Other sponsors is Rudy's Matador Martial Arts. Located in St. Clair Shores. So make sure you check them out. I believe they've got a Facebook page as well.
They do.
And then, of course, projectorscreen.com.
Of course.
Yep. Did you ever end up ordering anything from them or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were a little, I hate saying this, they're a little out of my price range right now.
That's all right.
No. So,
But they have
maybe
really nice
once the basement's done.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'm going to be putting an inflatable screen in the basement.
Probably not.
Why not?
Like a bounce house and an inflatable screen.
Oh, now that
would be awesome.
that
Dude,
would
when
be
you do your
amazing.
screen, I'll come over. We'll build it by hand.
Yeah.
Same thing I did with this one.
sounds-
So easy.
I bet.
Easy.
Easy.
Remember that button for staples?
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah, I have one of those
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's that simple. So anyways, news this week. Kind of, I don't really understand this at all, but they're already talking about doing an It prequel, and I think it's just a stupid fucking mistake.
It is. And from
Why?
what I'm hearing, Stephen King's actually like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I
really?
mean, it's like it's a cash
Why?
grab, obviously.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. Like,
Yeah.
how can we keep this franchise going for a couple more movies? And I mean, I can kind of see doing like 1800 circus movie being freaky and interesting. But especially if they cover like the whole fire of the garment factory and all that kind of shit, you can get some really gruesome, cool stuff going on in it. But at the same time, why?
At the same time, that was backstory for the book. We
Yeah.
don't need backstory for this.
No, we don't need it that fleshed out.
Not everything needs to be milked. So, yeah, they were talking about Bill Skarsgård and the Muschietis were talking about potentially doing this, and I'm just like, we're already at almost 6 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I think they should have given the Muschietis 2 movies for the second one instead of 1.
It would have been too long.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I heard that the issue with the pacing that they're having is that they had to edit out a lot of crap that they thought was going to keep it flowing.
It has a weird flow to it.
And that with all of that in there, the flow was better and actually made more sense.
By the time it was over, I was done. I really liked the movie, but I don't need any more Pennywise.
Well, no.
6 hours was enough. 2 movies, I would have been like, it would have felt like The Hunger Games, where we had to split one book into 2.
Yeah.
No.
The only time that that's worked really well, I think, was the last Harry Potter.
Yeah.
where they were like, we have a lot of freaking story to
Ground I'll
tell.
cover. In other news, Halloween Kills started filming this week. So we'll be getting more Michael Myers very soon. Nice. And they're doing 2 more of those.
I am actually beyond excited for those.
And they've already said that the third one, Halloween Ends, is not necessarily going to be
Of
the
course
ending.
not.
Of course not.
How could
Dude,
it be?
like we have ever believed ends or is dead
Right.
It's
or
the
any
final
of
The
that.
final chapter.
The final chapter, yeah. Like Freddy's Dead was really going to be the last Freddy.
Yeah.
Although it almost was, if you think about it. But that's kind of a trip.
And today is officially the 100-day countdown to fanboy tears.
Yes, it is.
The Rise
And
of
I
Skywalker
will
will be in theaters.
sup on the tears of fanboys.
I'm just going to go with bowls, and I'm going to stuff
Yeah.
them with tissues, and they can hold them under their eye sockets the entire day.
Yeah,
Make nice
absolutely.
mimosas out of fan tears.
I'm going to go dressed as Conan and just sit cross-legged in the back of the theater and crush my enemies.
I want to milk your tears.
Exactly.
Your
Why
tear
does this remind
udders.
me of something horrible out of a Ren and Stimpy episode?
Because it is. Because it is.
It is
Okay.
100%.
Good. As long as I've got my finger on the pulse of whatever the hell's going on here.
Oh, it's on the pulse.
And then the saddest news of the week, they're going to remake Face Off. And I'm just like, you're fucking stupid.
It's not actually greenlit yet.
Yeah.
No.
Do they have anyone in mind they want to get?
It's in pre-production. They're talking about it. Paramount says that they want it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Well, here's the funny thing, though, is the writers behind the 21 Jump Street movies are actually the ones working on this thing.
Which is kind of awesome because those movies were pretty damn good.
They're hilarious. They're
pretty
hilarious.
damn good.
So do you think this will be a comedy then?
I hope so. I hope they take it. They take it
Just-
to an extreme
That'd
dumb
be kind
level.
of. I mean, that'd be fun if they did it. I would be.
I
I'd
think
be
what
on
they should
board
do
for
with
it.
Face Off is get someone who's like Vin Diesel and then get someone really tiny. Like shift their faces.
Get the Rock and Kevin Hart.
Yes.
I don't think Kevin Hart's going to be acting for a while.
His back is
Really?
recovering. They're saying that he'll
Okay.
be back. He'll be okay here soon.
They said they had to
puppeteer him.
fuse something.
Yeah, that still gives him 6 months.
That's
And
what
that dude's in crazy good shape. So
Dude, they should do the Muppets Face Off.
Love his Face Off. Yes.
Kermit and Fozzie.
You're right.
Waka waka.
Or go like the full Sweetums and Fozzie.
Yes.
Are the two that get the
Yeah.
face swaps.
Seriously, can you see like the promo for this?
Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see Fozzie's body with Sweetum's head?
Hell yeah.
I see it in my nightmares.
What about the Swedish Chef, dude?
Oh, do a face swap. Do a face swap with him and Beaker.
Beaker. Yeah.
Because they both kind of talk the same.
Yep. Well, at least we're having fun tonight.
Yeah, right?
So, new releases. Oh, I didn't look up the new releases this week.
I got you.
Yeah? What's up? What's out this week?
Okay, so
Nothing.
there's Hustlers, the Jennifer Lopez stripper movie.
Yeah.
Heard good things. And then I think The Goldfinch is out this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to go see.
You're going to see the screening tomorrow
Yeah,
night.
tomorrow night.
The
Cool.
Goldfinch looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's
Amazing.
good.
Cool.
I like the book.
So, suggested viewings this week. I am going to go completely against the grain here, and I'm going to suggest that the entire world watches The Fanatic.
Really?
Oh
This-
my! You
this
might be the
movie-
only person I know.
I am going to be the only person.
I know. I've loved reading all your comments in all of our groups.
This movie is getting ravaged by everybody, and watching the movie, I understand why it's being ravaged, and I know that that's exactly what they were going for. This movie is a giant troll. It's everything about the movie, like it's ripping on Hollywood, it's ripping on fans, it's ripping on the internet, it's ripping on social media, it's making fun of John
So-
Travolta's career, and like he has autism in the movie. He's like Asperger's to the fullest degree.
Yeah, with the world's worst haircut.
And he goes full bore into this character. And what I like about the movie is he is so uncomfortable to watch in this movie. His physical mannerisms are so out of control. and he is just like, fuck it. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm doing whatever I want with this role.
So did he? But is he out of control like that because he's playing the dude with Asperger's, or is he doing it because he's John Travolta out of control?
I think both.
Okay, cool.
I think he did a phenomenal job. The movie reminds me a lot of like old school 80s thrillers.
Okay.
You know? And it's terrible. It's a terrible movie, but it's a great movie. It needs to be watched. It needs to be watched. And it's kind of cool that Fred Durst has made like this transition from Nookie to...
From terrible musician to mediocre filmmaker?
Who would ever thunk it, you know?
He's made a couple really good movies,
Has
though.
he?
Yeah. I can't remember the names right now, but one of them was like really well received by critics a couple years ago.
Really?
Yep.
I had heard about this movie, like the plot and, you know, John Travolta and the Fred Durst connection and everything, and I was very intrigued, and I wanted to see it. And reading your review, I'm like, I really want to see it. I think I'm gonna like it.
I love late period Travolta. It's been amazing.
I mean,
he did Gotti, which is like a comic masterpiece. It's not supposed to be funny, but it's brilliant.
Oh,
and I'm excited for The Fanatic.
And it's got Devon Sawa in it that was in Idle Hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's
apparently
really
they're
good.
talking about doing Idle Hands 2 now all of a sudden because of this movie.
It's not going to win any awards. It's nothing like Oscar worthy. I think people just attach themselves to it as I'm going to look at it with full negativity, like from point A.
It's easy to, I think, for people.
Well, yeah, and it's the internet now.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to latch on and attack everything. It's a worthwhile watch. Yes, there's terrible stuff in it, but when the violence happens, it's like, holy shit. Like, you can't even believe where they go with this thing.
Man, I'm pumped.
Very reminiscent to me, Taxi Driver and Nightcrawler. Very, very reminiscent. Yeah.
Well, I liked one of those too.
Yeah, I love both of them. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because you're not a big Jake fan, are you?
No. Not even a little. Actually, that's not true. Spider-Man kind of got me.
He was really good as Mysterio.
Yeah, he was really good in that movie. And I was like, God damn it, I like Jake Gyllenhaal in something. This is not okay. How dare you?
How dare you impress me? All right, Trevor, what's yours?
I got nothing.
Really?
Really. I haven't watched anything in like 3 weeks.
All righty then.
Yeah.
Mara.
Well, I just got a Roku, and I'm just blown away by all like the free channels. And I have been just watching every single thing on the Shout Factory TV channel. So
much goodness there.
Oh yeah. So I guess my suggested viewing is some of these like clips, I guess, of the Dick Cavett show. Because I've been watching some really good interviews. I watched Robert Altman, Vincent Price, Lucille Ball. I didn't watch the Betty Davis one, but I had seen that one previously.
Do they have the interview with John Lennon on there?
I don't think John Lennon was on there. It might be. I didn't really go through the music ones. I went through them, but I didn't watch them. I was watching they had like the horror thing, and then the like movie legends. Orson Welles, we watched him.
Oh.
Just like, I mean, Dick Cavett's kind of the pill, and
is.
He's like, you can tell he's like grating on the nerves of these like legends, you know, like Lucille Ball's body language. She kept like turning away from him and like being like, and it's like she just
talking to the crowd. She stopped talking to him and started talking to people.
She did. She would not address him after a certain moment. He's sitting there going like, "Ooh, that movie you were in. Oh, I was so turned on. I was 12 years old. I was turned on." And it's like, dude.
Ew.
Yeah, dude.
No one cares about your
You can get away with that now.
Like, seriously.
Yeah. Well, Dick was interesting because for a lot of people, he was really good at getting people to come out.
He did a good job.
But with some people, oil and water.
Yeah, and it's like, I watched George Carlin, too. And George Carlin was very polite to him, but I don't think he really liked him that much either.
Yeah.
Robert Altman liked him.
I think Jimi Hendrix wanted to punch him. Like, if you watch that interview, because he kept focusing on Jimmy being in the army.
You want to talk about that.
And he didn't want to talk about that. Jimmy didn't really want to talk about anything.
Yeah.
Jimmy was the shyest dude on earth. And you watch him in that, and his body language is just like, get that camera off me. Like, quit asking me questions.
Yeah.
This is terrible. I don't want to be here. And then Dick would just keep pushing, and he's just like, yeah, man, that's great. That's groovy, man. You're like,
But
poor Jimmy.
these interviews are good though, because it really gets into the he gets them to talk about really like their passion, and like the Robert Altman one was especially good because he talks about the making of Vincent and Teo, and he pretty much just goes on and on and on like almost like fanboy style about Vincent van Gogh, and a lot about his craft and movie making, and
Yeah.
I could just listen to Robert Altman all day and all
Robert
night.
Altman is God.
He sure
one of
is.
He really is
He
one of my
the
gods.
man. So, suggested viewing Dick Cavett show, especially Robert Altman.
You know what? I'm going to throw one in. I do have one.
Okay.
Salem's Lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Salem's Lot. Had it on in the background today while I was getting some stuff done around the house. And holy crap, I forgot what a scary movie that was. Like, it's a made-for-TV Tobe Hooper horror movie.
Yeah.
That works. And it shouldn't. I mean, you have David Soul is your main actor, but then you look at everybody else in it, and everybody is a good actor. It's an entire movie of supporting actors that are amazing. I mean, James Mason is just incredible in it.
He was an amazing actor.
He really was. Yeah, I can't get enough of it. And
October's coming up.
October is coming up. We
Watch
need
it.
We are going to be doing our horror movie
Oh, yeah.
month here soon.
Yeah.
31 days of horror.
31 Days of Hell. I dread this month every year.
We had a blast last year, man. Admit it.
Well, the podcast we did, but
Yeah.
getting the content out there to publish a horror review, 31
It's
of
so
them.
hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard we have what, 15 writers? Getting everybody to pump out 2 or 3 articles?
Yeah.
Oh. No.
We've made some adjustments here, though.
We have?
I've made some executive decisions this past week, and I think everything is going to work a little
I
bit
think they're
better.
going to work a little bit better. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a little bit
And we can
smoother.
talk about that later. All right, Liam.
Oh man. The only thing I've watched this week, so I guess this is my suggested viewing, is The Righteous Gemstones. It's the new show from Danny McBride, and he plays. He's part of this family, the Gemstones, and they're all televangelists, and it's bananas. Walt Goggins is in it.
Really?
He plays their creepy uncle. Walt Goggins plays their creepy uncle named Baby Billy, and it's just wonderful. It's so dark and weird and funny and just great. And
What's it
John
on?
Goodman- it's on HBO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Walton Goggins is one of those actors.
he's so good.
He is
He's
so good as a creeper.
Well, he played the transsexual character on Sons of Anarchy,
yeah.
like seamlessly. It
Yeah.
was made like you wouldn't even realize it was him until you realize like,
Until you
his
saw-
name's in the wait, what? Oh,
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That was Walter Goggins.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shows up in everything.
Yep.
I mean, wasn't he in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Great character.
the most
actor.
random movies, and he just shows up, comes in, is great, and leaves. Like, what the hell?
So, we haven't been here for a while, so we're keeping it
Yeah.
light tonight, and we decided to just do a topic we just thought of off the top of our heads. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite 80s comedies. So I'm going to actually go to Mara first this time.
Oh,
Ooh.
well. Okay, I'm going to go with
Well.
this movie is, I don't know if it's the first movie I seen in the theater. I actually think the first movie I ever saw in the theater was like a second running of E.T.
Ooh.
because that movie came out the year I was born. So, it could, but anyway, I'm digressing. My first like real theater experience that I remember very well, and it being like a big moment, and then that became like one of my favorite movies is Beetlejuice.
Mm.
Yeah, I love Beetlejuice.
Delicious.
Yes.
It's yeah.
1988. It's like what? Like it's Tim Burton's second movie.
Somewhere around there.
It's his second studio movie, I
yeah,
think. 'cause
after Pee-wee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing the trailer and being like, that looks like on TV and being like, that looks cool. I think I'm going to like that. I'll never be able to see it. And then my parents were like, you want to go see Beetlejuice? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll just never forget seeing that in the theater. It's just, I mean, I obviously never saw anything like that before. And I'll never forget how hard my mom laughed at the Deo scene. And it was just, I mean, to this day, I still put that movie on and it cracks me up. Makes me feel good. Oh, and that's the thing about it. It's like I saw it, I saw it when I was a kid in 1988. We got it on tape when it came out, I watched it repeated viewings, and it's like the older I got and the more times I watched it, the better it got and the funnier it got because I'm just getting more jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. And the older you get, the more you're like, oh.
Yeah. And it's like,
like the civil servant slitting their wrists.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's like all over the place. And that's just like a testament to the movie it is because there's so much there that like I was like 6 when that movie came out and I loved it. And then Did you love the cartoon too? I did, yeah. Even though it was really weird and different, and I questioned it, like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was brilliant though.
But it was still good.
It was brilliant. Yeah. Like I went back and watched it.
Yeah.
It is so much edgier and funnier than I thought it was back then. Mm-hmm. Like it actually is funnier now than when I was 16 when it came out.
I think there's a episode or two, or there's at least one. I don't know if there's 2 on the Blu-ray that I have of Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I only have it on DVD, so I'm not that cool.
Oh yeah.
That's a phenomenal. It's a classic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Michael Keaton is best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was right after Batman.
Right before Batman.
Right.
Was it before Batman?
Mm-hmm. Batman was 1989.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yep. Oh my.
Beetlejuice is how Tim Burton went, this guy's got to be my Batman. And when he couldn't get, I can't remember who his first choice was. When he couldn't get him, he's like, let's do Michael Keaton. He'll be great.
And the studio was like, huh?
And I remember everybody. I was 8th grade, and I remember everybody in my school was like, how can you cast Mr. Mom as Batman? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Oh my God, this movie's gonna be so dumb. And like we're getting, because it's when the magazines came out, like a month before the movie came out, and so that's when we're first getting our dose of like what this movie's gonna be. And they were all freaking out about how dumb this was. And then we all went and saw it together, and all left like, "Oh my God, Batman's so cool!" Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing like, I didn't know Mr. Mom or anything or how Michael Keaton was when Batman came out, and then someone was like, Beetlejuice, and I was like, what? No, no.
He can't be Batman.
I mean, Michael Keaton's amazing. He can do anything.
He can be anybody. We now know that.
Yeah.
But back then,
that's how he proved it. From going Beetlejuice to Batman.
Well, that and going sober. Whew.
Oh,
that movie.
Clean and Sober.
Clean and Sober. That movie was a groin kick.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in that like decade, he just proved he could go.
He could do anything he wanted.
Yeah.
All right, Liam, you're up.
Well, the first one I picked is a personal favorite of mine. I love the Zucker brothers, so I had to pick Naked Gun because I just love big.
Not the one I thought you were going to say.
I do love Airplane, but I like Naked Gun a little bit more. I know it's sacrilege. I just like it I just love the premise, and I love how it just kind of rips on it. Although Airplane is amazing.
And see, that's what I was going to pick.
I'm not pitting either of them against each other.
Do it.
Comedy, it's great. Leslie Nielsen gives an all-time masterful performance in how to do, like, a lot of times in comedies now, people play it like, oh, I'm in a comedy, like kind of hang out. He fully commits to the bit, and that just makes it so much better.
Well, he was such a dramatic actor before he started doing these comedies.
Before the Zucker brothers went, you'd be a great straight man.
Yeah. I mean, he's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that movie. And it's really hard going back and watching it though, just because of the sheer amount of OJ.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Oh, okay. And I mean, the whole movie's awkward and funny and it's clever. Yeah, I can dig that.
I should give that a rewatch. I know I saw forever ago, bits and pieces or on TV, when we had cable, but I haven't sat down and watched it as an adult.
Watch the first two.
Yeah.
The third one, Naked Gun 33 and a third. That kind of.
That movie is so terrible.
It is. The second one's pretty good.
What was the third? The third one had Anna Nicole Smith in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
it's awful.
When they're like, "Ooh, we got to get boobs." That was literally the only reason they did that, because she had no talent.
Well, it is funny though. Whenever I watch these comedies from the 80s or the 90s, it is kind of shocking that we say a lot of offensive stuff now, but a lot of the bits you couldn't do because of political correctness.
Yeah.
The oh, nice beaver.
Yeah.
Oh, I stuffed it
thank
myself.
you. I just had it stuffed.
I don't know that would really play that well. No.
No, especially since it's obvious he's looking up her skirt when he says it.
Yeah.
And then she hands out a taxidermied beaver.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
It is
funny.
And it's the Zucker brothers
Brand.
Yeah. They were so good at knowing how to nudge it just to the edge and then pull it back. Mm-hmm. They're like, ooh, let's be offensive. Let's be really offensive. Let's be really offensive. Not that offensive.
Yeah.
And they were great at it. And they would cross the line frequently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no more than Mel Brooks. You know? In fact, I'd say Mel went farther over the line than they did.
At times.
Yeah.
I mean, just Blazing Saddles alone.
Yeah.
Or,
have you seen Blazing Saddles?
Man, we ain't found shit.
Oh, sorry, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
We did our Mel Brooks episode.
That's
talked
right.
about.
And we all it was just a love fest.
Yeah, it was.
That was a great episode.
I was actually going to pick Airplane myself because that came out in 1980. And this movie, you just don't
humor.
get any funnier.
Yeah.
Than
Tell me,
this
Christopher,
movie.
do you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever been to a Turkish bathhouse?
Ever seen a grown man naked? I remember
Peter Graves in that role.
Yeah.
I mean, such a prestigious dramatic actor delivering those lines to an 8-year-old boy is some of the most wrong shit I have ever seen in my life.
But Robert Hayes had always been a really straight actor.
Yeah.
The same as Leslie Nielsen, and they put him in this movie.
Yeah.
And he is totally straight in this flick.
Yeah.
And just
I am
hilarious.
a doctor, and don't call me Shirley.
Surely you must be kidding. There's a joke. I can't remember.
Surely you must be joking. I'm not joking, and don't call me Shirley.
Guess I picked the wrong day to quit sniffing glue.
Oh my God, the Lloyd Bridges scenes in that movie, and I can't remember the actor's name. The insanely over the top gay guy. In it. I can't remember the actor's name, but his scenes in that movie make the movie. Well, here, take this. What do you make of it? Well, I can make a brooch. I can.
I know who you are. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Have you seen this one, Mara?
I haven't. No, that's the same. Well, the same kind of thing where it's I know it's on TV when I was a kid and I've seen it and it's been on, but I haven't sat down as an adult to watch it
and give it a second shot.
Yeah.
It's wrong on the nun slapping the crap out of the woman freaking out.
Yes,
is one of the that line of people with weapons getting ready to hit the hysterical woman on the plane is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life because it's so messed up. It's so wrong.
You have clearance, Clarence.
What's your vector, Victor?
Yeah,
I say that all the time. By the way, whenever somebody says Roger, I say Roger.
Roger.
Roger. What's your vector, Victor?
And I'm sure that's where they got that for the battle droids. And Star Wars.
You know it is.
100%.
You know it is.
Yeah.
Roger.
I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm done talking about this one. Go ahead, Trevor.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
You can't talk about 80s comedy without Ghostbusters.
No.
It after Animal House, it redefined what comedy could be. It brought in a whole new sensibility of the science fiction and the horror, and if you can call it horror, but I guess
It's pretty
a
scary.
scary concept.
Yeah.
Pretty scary.
It's a scary
The
concept.
library scene's pretty freaky.
Oh, the library
Yeah.
scene's great.
Love it.
I love it. It brought so many elements together, and it's such Dan Aykroyd's love letter to the paranormal that it's amazing. Like, my favorite little tidbit about it is that every device on top of Ecto-1 actually has a purpose. He wrote up the purpose of every single thing on top of Ecto-1. Like, none of it is used, none of it is named, none of it is important to the story. But he knew what every device on that thing did. And there's just something magical about
course.
that, where
Yeah.
he was so invested. He went so far. I mean, the script was like 400 pages long, and they had to edit it for like a year and a half to get the movie.
Wow.
You know, because he sat down, wrote the story, and he came up with the mother of all ghost story movies. And, I mean, the people that turned down parts in the movie is insane alone. Eddie Murphy made his first career mistake with it by not taking the part of
Winston Zedmore.
Winston Zedmore, thank you. I was going to say, I all I could think of was
the
the
part
actors.
of Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson's part, yeah. But yeah, it's such a masterpiece.
I think it works because it's not only as a comedy, but it does work as like a genuine horror and sci-fi film. There's like a balance, and there's kind of a light and like playful feel to it, and it's just so like excellently edited.
Yeah.
Like every joke works, every beat makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like rapid fire,
Story just plugs
Absolutely.
along.
Absolutely.
and it's there's never a false note in that movie.
No. And Annie Potts. Annie
wonderful.
Potts makes that movie
She's
work.
wonderful. I like wanted to be her when I grew up when I saw that.
I totally don't blame you.
I just loved her.
And you kind of succeeded, so that's kind of awesome.
Thank you.
No, she really is the driving force of the movie, which is kind of awesome. Because she is the sarcastic reality to their pie in the sky bullshit.
Yeah.
And then there's her. That's like, you have bills, you have phone. Are we going to do this? What's going on?
She
Am I
brings
gonna-
him down. Like,
Yeah. She is
Just the
reality.
level.
And
Yeah.
she's so great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She's super cool.
She is. She was so great in that movie.
And also another 80s movie that was turned into a wonderful 80s cartoon.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
loved the Real Ghostbusters.
I did too. I
loved it.
that
In
show.
fact, I loved it so much that I have the whole series on DVD.
Yeah.
I would love to
Oh, yeah.
rewatch it. I haven't seen those since they were on.
It's just as good.
Yeah.
It really is. It really holds up, and it's really funny to find out who the voice actors are.
And you know what? Here's something interesting. This is something that boggles my mind about this. So the guy who plays, and I can't think of,
Thinking of Rick Moranis.
Bill Murray.
Oh,
Bill
Bill
Murray.
Venkman?
Yeah, Venkman. The guy who plays Venkman in the cartoon is the guy who does Garfield's voice.
Oh,
and then when they
really?
made a Garfield live action movie, they got Bill Murray to play
did.
Garfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that
Wow.
just blows my mind.
And I can't
Yeah.
remember if it's Ray or it might actually be him, is also the cool uncle that does all the voices. It is on they just brought it back with Bob Saget and all them.
Oh, Full House.
Full House.
Oh, yeah. Dave Coulier.
Dave Coulier
Yeah, he
is the
does-
voice of Peter
You're
Venkman
right.
and Garfield.
No, he's not Garfield. He's someone else on the show.
Oh, you're right. He might be, yeah.
Yeah.
And then dude, Arsenio Hall was Winston Zedmore in that,
Really?
in the cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot
Yeah.
about that, but I
Yeah.
remember now. Yeah.
Maurice LaMarche was the voice of Egon, and that guy's the voice of everything.
I was gonna say voice of everything.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's the brain, for Christ's sake. All right, Mara, it's your turn.
Mara.
Okay.
I could keep going.
I
Me too.
have a big list here that I need to pick smartly from. Okay, I'm gonna go with This Is Spinal Tap.
Oh,
Perfect. That was on my list too.
Yeah.
oh, that is such a miraculous movie.
I mean, I think it was probably one of the. I could be wrong on this, but I think it was one of the first like mockumentary.
It was the
type
first,
movies.
like mockumentary, rockumentary kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that or the Ruddles. The Ruddles might have
I
been.
think the Ruddles came
might have been
first.
first.
Okay.
But it's in the top two. It's in one of the
Yeah.
first two.
I never saw that one.
The Ruddles was funny. It was the Beatles takeoff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can watch that movie, This Is Spinal Tap, over and over and over again. It's just never gets old. Jokes are always hilarious.
They are.
It's another one that every time you watch it, you pick up on something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
I love
Fran
this
Drescher.
cover. I love this cover. It's black.
It's the blackest of the black.
It's the darkest black.
None more black.
Although
That's right. There is none more
black. And they have an album called "Smell the Glove." I mean,
This is sexist. And he's like, what's wrong with being sexy? It's so funny. And the good thing, and the cool thing about that movie is like you can put it on and like start it at any point and just like
Start
watch
laughing.
watch it.
Yeah.
And then like walk away.
yeah.
It doesn't really have like a plot, really. I
No.
mean, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but you know,
It just
The
follows
poor
the band.
drummers
Yeah.
for that band.
right? I know.
You
and
guys
it's-
saw that what's his name is on tour, right? The bass player for the band
Oh, is he?
is actually
David St.
Yeah,
Hubbins or whatever.
David
yeah.
St.
David St. Hubbins.
Yeah.
Hubbins is actually fully in costume doing a full-on Spinal
Wow.
Tap tour by himself, which I'm dying to go see
I
because
love to.
how funny would that have to be having him? I think it's just him up there playing bass.
I mean, he's funny anyway on his own.
I think that
so-
is literally the concert is him being him and playing bass. Like, oh my god,
That's good. I mean,
like
This is the best quote of that movie. We're very lucky in the band in that we have two visionaries, David and Nigel. They're like poets, like Shelley and Byron. They're two distinct types of visionaries. It's like fire and ice, basically. I feel my role in the band is to be somewhere in the middle of that, kind of like lukewarm water.
oh, I like the review for Shark Sandwich. 2-word review. Shit sandwich.
That's
that
good.
movie will always make me laugh way too hard.
Oh yeah.
Way too hard. I mean, even the most obvious scenes, but it goes to 11.
Yeah.
I mean, the
why?
pacing and the joke, that whole scene.
Christopher Guest is a comic genius.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he will
Yes.
just he loses himself in the character. You don't even like know it's him.
Him and Princess Bride, perfect example.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, like I
forget it's him every time.
I will say every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's him.
I watched all of Best in Show, and I was like, where was Christopher Guest in this? I thought he was in it.
I had the same thing with Waiting for Guffman. Waiting for Guffman, I kept on going, oh crap, that is him. With that horrible haircut.
Yeah, he's good.
Alrighty.
It goes all quiet.
It does. Well, that's because I have a whole list, and I'm thinking strategically.
Yeah.
I know that's what I was trying to do too.
Strategically.
Yeah.
Strategically.
We have a strategy now.
I'm a strategist.
Oh yeah.
We need to hire a real crime strategist.
I can be that strategist.
Okay.
So I guess I'll just pick this one because I watch it a lot. Is the Blues Brothers? I think
Fucking classic.
it's
What?
Motherfucker stole my favorite movie.
I know, I'm sorry, but we can gush over it.
You should have strategized.
I should have strategized. I had to go with the best movie of the 80s. Come on.
That's fair.
And he took my favorite movie.
I'm so sorry.
You guys can share. Be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Go for it.
You both love it.
I'm okay with that.
I think
sure.
it's just a pitch perfect comedy. It's not only just a really good road movie, but it is a movie where it's built on character. The jokes are funny because the characters are funny. It's not just, oh, it's the situation. It's like a logical progression of how it's, which feels kind of hard to break down why something is funny. But if you ever wanted to teach a class about Comedy 101,
Like,
you could
and
just,
how to make a funny movie, that is...
yeah, you could just show Blues Brothers, and then that's
the
perfect.
prototype right there. That and Animal House are the two movies that you could just put on screen and go, that's how you make comedy. Watch the character beats, watch all of it, and you'll figure it out. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And again, Dan Aykroyd's writing is just amazing. You know, that like I already clearly said, that's my favorite, probably my favorite comedy of all time. Between the music, which is ungodly, and the chemistry between Dan, John, and Carrie
Yeah.
is so amazing. Carrie Fisher is so great in that movie.
Am I allowed to say how sexy she is in that movie?
Yeah, you can go for
Oh,
it.
dude, she was.
'Cause
she really was.
Yeah.
She was early '80s sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And totally fucking off her rocker.
And she was so cool in that movie. When her with the rocket launcher is one of the greatest scenes in movie history, where the cops all come tumbling down, everybody comes tumbling down, and the Blues Brothers just get out, wipe themselves off, and leave.
They were on so much blow during that movie,
Yeah.
especially Carrie.
Yeah.
She was probably leading the party. Come on, guys.
John was probably leading.
Yeah.
Yeah. As,
But John and Carrie at that point in time, she was engaged to Dan at the time.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So, yeah, I mean, she was about to marry Dan, and then I can't remember who came into the picture. Paul Simon. She went back to Paul Simon instead of marrying Dan. Like, bad move.
yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Bad move.
Yeah.
You know? I think Dan would have... We might still have Carrie if she had gone with Dan.
Maybe.
Maybe. I said might. No, but... And the dialogue in that movie, like, just the mall scene alone is one of my favorite scenes of any movie of all time. Oh, the new Oldsmobiles are in. Wow, this mall has everything. That, and it has the greatest line of dialogue in any comedy of all time. It's 106 miles to Chicago. We've got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Yep.
Hit it.
Hit it.
Thank you.
I actually think Aretha Franklin is my favorite character in that entire
Yeah,
movie.
that whole
she's
that whole
amazing.
sequence is my favorite part. I
Yeah.
just love the energy and the musical numbers. Like, it's not only a great comedy as a musical, it's just like sheer power of like choreography and energy and movement just works.
I just like that vibe, that cafe vibe, you know, and she's in charge. And I love that about that scene. She's the boss. She's not taking shit from anybody.
No.
And I love that because it felt like it was really Aretha. Like, didn't feel like she was playing a character.
Yeah.
She was like, I am the Queen of Soul, and I fucking own this scene.
Yeah.
Completely.
Absolutely.
I'm like sitting here trying to remember if I've watched this movie, but I know that scene. Like, I know, like, that scene.
That scene is so great.
Yeah.
I actually, when she passed and I did her obit, that scene was actually the header for the movie.
Was it?
Yeah. Or for the article.
Yeah.
I remember.
But
I love Aretha too.
Yeah.
that
great.
the John Lee Hooker scene, the boom 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 scene is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Just because seeing an actual old school blues man play in a movie was just too cool. So yeah.
We saw years ago, it was probably like 93, 94, Matt the Guitar Murphy was touring, and we saw him play at some blues club in Dearborn. It was like phenomenal.
He's amazing.
He had like full band with horns, the whole deal, and it was just really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
I used to spend way too much time in blues clubs in Chicago. To the point where
I would too.
Buddy Guy knew me by name because I was at his club all the time.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the home of the blues there.
Yeah. And I spent way too much time in there. Way too much.
All right. I'm going to pick one of my favorite movies of all time.
Ooh.
Better Off Dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my. This is one of the most quotable comedies of all time.
French fries.
Totally.
French dressing.
And to drink, Peru.
The mom.
Oh, man. She's too much. But everybody in this movie just does a phenomenal job with their characters. And it's so absolutely 80s, like right down to like the Van Halen, Everybody Wants Some scene. Everything about this movie is total fucking corny 80s, but it's perfect. And this is John Cusack, like, you know, right out of the gate, you know, young teenage. I mean, he was probably maybe 19, 20 years old.
I think
when
that
he
was
filmed
him
this.
right after 16 Candles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that. He did that, then he did Say Anything, and then his career took off.
There's just so many lines.
There is.
You've seen Better Off Dead,
No.
haven't you?
Oh, my God.
No.
Oh, my.
We've got to have
Yeah.
a Better Off Dead night.
Yeah.
100%.
What's his name on the mountaintop when he's doing the lines of
Charles?
snow
Yeah.
off the top of his hat? And he's like, Lane, do you know the street value of this mountain? This is 100% pure snow. Oh, dude, that movie.
Look, Charles, I got to do this. If I don't, I'll be nothing. I'll end up like my neighbor, Ricky Smith. He just sits around crocheting all day and snorting nasal spray. Dude.
Fucking Ricky.
Oh, my God. And then
Can you
was,
say Ricky? Ricky! Ricky's mom
Oh
is
my
the
God.
most obnoxious
Yeah.
character ever. Followed immediately by Ricky.
So basically, this is a love story about Lane Meyer, who is dumped by his girlfriend, Beth.
Who is
then-
Nancy from
Who
Nightmare
is
on Elm
Nancy
Street?
from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Gee, Lane, you mind if I date Beth? After Beth breaks up with him, everybody wants to date Beth.
Everybody.
And everywhere he goes, there's Beth.
Yeah.
So anyways, a foreign exchange student comes and is living with the people next door, Ricky, this asshole, and his mom.
Oh.
And Lane falls in love with her. So
And
the
if-
entire movie is about...
If it was made
That.
now, Ricky would be a neckbeard douchebag that can't get out of mom's face.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Ricky. Except for it's 80s neckbeard douchebag.
Yeah.
So it's totally different vibe.
Right.
And still just as creepy.
That's a real shame. Folks be throwing away a perfectly
Good
good
white
white boy
boy.
like that.
Oh, see, I think we're showing our age because we can do the weird deep cuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But no,
yeah, that one,
this
I saw this one in the theater. Oh,
this one holds up very
still
well.
does.
Still.
I want my $2.
Sorry, kid, ain't got a dime. Actually, my favorite part of the movie is the mailman when he shows up at the door and he knocks. And Badger, his little brother, he answers.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, Badger, what's a little boy like you doing with big boy smut like this? Yeah.
Oh, and Badger's mail-in thing from the cereal prizes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. His actual rocket.
Yeah, he's in his room building a rocket.
But it's like a real rocket. It's great.
Two brothers. One speaks no English. The other learned English from watching the wide world of sports. So tell me, which is better, speaking no English at all or speaking Howard Cosell?
Here we have Lane Meyer.
Lane Meyer. An awesome spectacle. The one-time champion now lies in defeat. All right. Moving on.
I can just see the scene and it's killing me. I'm going to have to go Coming to America.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now we begin the Eddie Murphy portion of our program. I mean, what can I say? It's perfect.
Yeah, it's a
there
great
is
story.
absolutely no flaws in that movie. Some of the jokes in the movie are still some of the best jokes I've ever heard in my life. Eddie Murphy as the old Jewish guy in the barber shop is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, and his after credits joke has stuck with me my entire life. You guys remember the joke?
I do not.
A guy walks into a restaurant. He sits down, he orders a bowl of soup. The waiter brings him the soup, and he looks at it, and he looks at the waiter, and he says, "Waiter, taste my soup." And the waiter says, "What's wrong with your soup? Is there a fly in it?" "Waiter, taste my soup." But what's wrong with it, sir? Just tell me. "Waiter, taste my soup." "Well, where's the spoon?" "Aha." Perfect. It's a perfect joke. And everything about that movie was constructed the same way as that joke. Everything had a payoff. Absolutely everything led into the rest of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's the actual only movie from the 80s that I am so excited that they're making a sequel to. I cannot wait for it.
I have fears, though, about Eddie
Of
Murphy.
course. Although,
because he says he's been quoted before saying, I kind of forgot how to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard what he's doing before he goes on set?
That he's going to try doing.
He's doing stand-up again. He's actually going to do a tour, a small tour.
Yeah, he's doing a small
and get used
tour.
to it. And Jerry Seinfeld apparently is helping him get his chops back. Because I didn't know this.
Yeah, I saw the show with those.
Yeah, he
two.
was on that.
Yeah, did you guys watch Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
It's really kind of interesting. I didn't realize that they came up at the same club at the exact same time and knew each other since 1976.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they are almost like career-long friends.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But
cool.
and I think it's funny that Eddie thinks that Jerry was the funniest guy in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find hysterical.
You see, I don't watch that show all the time, but I saw that Eddie Murphy was on, and I was like, I gotta
watch this.
I gotta watch this because I'm interested now to know.
Eddie's still funny though. That's what I thought was interesting. That's
He's
what I
still
took away.
funny. He seemed very reserved, though.
I think
it's probably the
think
loss of his brother.
I think it's the loss of his brother, and I think it's the lack of cocaine.
Yeah.
The 80s, he had a lot of cocaine around to help him keep an energy level that was ridiculous.
Inhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now we're seeing human Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think he's the same funny that he used to be. I just think he's a little bit more down to earth than he used to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't wait. They got everybody back. They got James Earl Jones back. They got everybody back. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Mara.
Mara.
All right, we're going to change the tone a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Hairspray.
Oh,
John Waters' Hairspray.
Oh, yes.
The original, not the musical.
I like both of them, but
Yeah.
I love the John Waters original.
Yeah.
It's
I've
not
al-
bad. The musical's not bad. But
It's not the same movie. I mean, it's really it not feeling wise. The new one has is lost something that the original.
well, it's
had.
a musical.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of like Broadway musicals anyway, or musicals in general. Like, generally, I guess.
I'm insanely addicted to them. It's a little weird.
Well, here's the non-musical Hairspray made in the 80s. Is I mean, that's one of my favorite movies I think of all time. That's one I can just put on.
Mm-hmm.
Always gonna feel good. It's got that. It doesn't. It's not like Coming to America where there's like setups and jokes. It's just kind of like this story and a coming of age story and conflict, and it's like
It is
everything's to a level of absurdity though.
I love that it's such a love letter from him to Baltimore.
Oh, yeah, I would say all of his movies are too.
But that one, there's something about that one that shows the progressive nature of part of Baltimore that was so cool.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the whole movie is about progress and moving, into something new and accepting different things. And
then, of course, Divine.
oh yeah, playing
best.
2 roles.
Yeah.
If you remember the mom, and then of course he plays a man as the I guess it's like a TV show producer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he died like the day before that movie was premiered.
Put in theaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember when that happened. I remember I barely knew who he was when it came out because I was still pretty young when that one came out. It was like 88, right? 87?
Yep. It was 88. Yep.
And so, yeah, I was just then finding out who John Waters was and all that. And I remember seeing that and like, oh, I got to see more of this guy's movies. This is great. And so that was really what caused me to have like a decade of deep diving into John Waters movies.
Yeah, and that you're not alone. That was the movie that put him on the map, and people wanted to know more, and people were very terrified when they, saw this nice little family movie they can watch with their children called Hairspray, and then they're like, Pink Flamingos. That
just sounds like that's going to be a great, sweet movie.
And then there's singing assholes and people eating dog shit. Spoiler alert. So you like
the fact that it's actually Divine eating dog shit just horrifies me, and makes me love Divine that much more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he would do anything for this to make the scene. Great performer. Like couldn't ask for a more professional performer.
We tried to do that on the podcast, but we can't do it tonight because
there's no video.
There's no visual.
Yeah.
But
otherwise,
committed.
I would be eating dog shit.
But we're all eating dog shit right now.
Right now.
So warm and nutty.
Yummy.
Gotta get my grain somehow.
Chris, quit feeding your dogs. Quit feeding your dogs grass, Chris. God, it tastes horrible.
I want to eat a solid turd. No grass in there.
Yeah, jeez.
You want that on a bun?
That's like in Step Brothers when they forced John C. Reilly.
You know what I love? I love that we all assumed that the turd that Divine ate was dog.
For sure. It was 100% dog.
It's on camera. The dog takes the shit.
Show? Oh, I don't remember. Yeah. I didn't remember the dog taking the shit part. Okay. Because I've been to Baltimore.
Poor dog.
And it's a 50-50 shot that you see in Baltimore is dog.
Well, no, because we're going to, I mean.
It's an alternate take. They had to go over again. Do we have to shoot the scene 39 times?
Yes. That is a great pick. Yeah. I totally love that pick.
Liam. Let's see. Oh, man. All right. I'm always startled because I'm going through this list. Back to the Future.
Oh.
This was one of the first movies I saw as a kid, so it always has a special place in my heart, and I love the world of it. I love how playful it is. It's just on its toes. It's very fun, and it's just.
But is it a comedy?
I would say it's a comedy.
I would say.
Yeah.
See, I think it's an action movie that has some funny scenes in it.
I think it rides that fine line.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it leans more towards comedy because you have the bits where he's talking about how your kids aren't going to love it, and that's clearly a joke.
Yeah, and I think Doc Brown's kind of a comedic character.
Yeah.
It's just in general, the way he's played.
I think this is one of those beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of things.
It is, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong. I don't know. I don't know if I would personally say it's comedy. It's funny as hell, and some of the scenes are funny as hell, but I don't know if I would say that was written to be a comedy. I think it was written to be a science fiction movie that had.
It needs more shit eating in it.
Yeah,
that is what's missing.
Out. It needed a scene where Marty made.
Oh,
lunch to his mom.
It had plenty of it. It was. Oh, it had plenty of it. It was just they cut out all the Eric Stoltz scenes.
If they would have gone full incest,
the Eric Stoltz version of that movie.
Well, that happens with Pink Flamingos too. So
yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Pink Flamingos cross so many lines. Jesus, I love that movie.
But no, I can see where.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those movies that blurs, but I feel like that's a common thing in a lot of the really great 80s comedies do blur the line. You have something like Ghostbusters or Back to the Future, where yes, they're comedies, but they're also like hard sci-fi elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Back to the Future is, first of all, it's probably the best crafted trilogy of any movies
Absolutely.
ever.
Yeah.
Like there's very few missteps in the entire out
Other
of all
than
three
Crispin
movies.
Glover not coming back.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Chris McGlover was a giant douche nozzle
Yeah.
that he thought he made the movie.
Right.
Really?
Wow.
Well, we can change that shit real fast.
Makeup.
I love that he sued and won, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he sued and won because they basically reproduced his likeness
Yeah, on another person.
and another person and didn't pay him for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I-
thought
it's so
hanging
weird.
him upside down would hide it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean I can totally agree that I'd say it's probably 3 of the best movies of the 80s. Period.
Mhm. Especially the second one. The second one's my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah, I love the concept of like alternate futures and like that kind of thing already.
I'm
that adds
totally
to it.
with you on that.
I
Yeah.
think it's one of those sequels that kind of like it builds on the first movie. A lot of comedy sequels are just the first movie again, but not as funny. Whereas Back to the Future,
Like The Hangover.
don't get me started on the Hangover sequels. I hate Hangover 3 so much.
Dude, it's so bad.
Never seen it.
Don't.
I won't. I wasn't planning on
Yeah.
it. 2 was terrible enough.
Yeah. But I think Back to the Future, all of them are just really smartly written movies, and I have a soft spot for the third. I like the third one too.
I
like
love the third one.
Yeah.
I like Westerns in general. So,
And that's part of why I love the third one so much.
Yeah.
Is yeah, it was just so cool.
yeah.
It really was. And that train. I'm sorry, the
That
flying
is the
train
coolest
at the end.
thing ever.
I want one.
So, my next pick is going to be one we kind of brushed on earlier, but Tim Burton's Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
It's on
know,
my list too. Yeah.
we used to watch Pee-wee on HBO when he had the first show on, and then he had, it was like the special or whatever.
I
that he
love,
Right.
had.
I love
Yeah.
that special.
Yeah.
And then he had the series. The
Playhouse one.
Yeah, Pee-wee's Playhouse. And then my mom hated Pee-wee Herman. Like, she thought it was like the stupidest thing ever. And how could anybody think that's
She
funny?
wasn't wrong.
It is. I'm like, it is the stupidest thing ever. But it's supposed
That's
to
why
be
we
the
love it.
stupidest
Yeah.
thing ever. You know? But yeah, I remember we went to go see this opening day. Like, me and my cousin Melinda loved Pee-wee, and we're like, we're going like the first show. And my mom took us. It was like 10 a.m. Showcase Cinema at 16 in Van Dyke.
Oh, I love that
And
place.
yeah, that place was a fire trap.
Yeah, it was.
They were lucky that no fire ever broke out in that place, because if it ever did, you were fucked.
Before my time in Michigan.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just talking, reminiscing about how like labyrinthine and creepy that place was.
Weird. It was at the corner of 16 and Van Dyke.
Okay.
Okay, so that entire lot there, or was it 50? It was 15.
15 where the
15 in
MJR
Van Dyke,
is.
where
Exactly
the
where
MJR
that is.
Troy is at, 15 in Van Dyke.
Okay.
But it was like 4 times the size of that place.
Huge.
It had like 36 theaters in it.
Jesus.
It was insane. And like, it was a labyrinth. It was a complete maze. You had no idea where you were going. There'd be like signs everywhere, like, you know,
Yeah.
18 to 22.
And I remember you had to like make sure you parked on the right side of the building, or
Yeah.
else you would just be like walk a
Yeah.
mile.
they had
Really?
4
Yeah.
different concession areas in this place. That's
Wow.
how big it was.
That's so 80s, too.
It
That is
was.
hysterical.
I remember I actually saw Faces of Death there.
Oh my god, that sounds like an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of crazy. It was like midnight on a Friday. Faces of Death.
I want to go back in
But-
time and go to that.
But yeah, we saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure opening day, like first show, and literally it was like the 3 of us. It was like my mom, me, and my cousin. Maybe one other person in the theater. Nobody there.
The Pee-wee in the back jerking off.
Yeah.
His own movie.
He was like,
Fuck yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. That seems so good.
oh my God.
Oh, remember the Alamo!
Sometimes when you got a bust, when you make a great movie.
Oh,
Yeah. You know?
oh, we're terrible people.
We are
But yeah,
horrible
I
You
just
can
remember
play with
He
yourself.
did it.
Just, yeah, he did. We didn't do it. I just remember walking out, my mom being like, "Oh, I hate you."
I
did it.
loved
That's sweet
that
of her.
movie. I loved that movie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
The tequila
wonderful.
scene is so iconic now.
Oh,
I say we let him go.
Large
Or
Marge
tell
scaring the shit out of you.
Tell
yeah.
him Large Marge sent you. Yeah.
It's
I
a
love
classic
that.
now, though.
Mhm.
It
really
is.
is.
It's a complete classic. You know, the whole premise, his bike gets stolen. That's the entire
That's
movie.
the movie. That's a movie.
Sorry, Daddy, I'm a loner.
I'm a loner, Dottie, a rebel. I use that quote
Oh, yeah.
all
Day.
the time. All the time. Any time Jen's like, do you want me to go with you? And I'm like, no. I'm a loner, Jen. A rebel. And she looks at me, rolls her eyes, and walks the other way every time. And I can't resist it. I physically cannot stop myself from doing that line. Like, it's impossible.
I just love the end when they've made his life into a movie, and it's the hotel scene, and it's the
Paging Mr. Herman.
Yeah, it's so
Tell
funny.
Mr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk. It's
Oh,
like,
PW.
yeah.
That is great.
Did you guys see his new movie that was on Netflix?
I love
Yes.
that one.
Yeah.
It was
that
great.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I
Good.
hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of just reminisced a little bit too much. They stole a lot of
was-
stuff.
yeah.
but-
For
It
me,
was
it was
fun,
too rose-colored glasses bullshit for me.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that in
Okay.
general.
I can see what you
Like-
mean by that. I didn't love it, and I
Like-
think that was kind of why a little too saccharine.
Yeah, it was a little too much like, ooh, remember how funny we used to be? And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I do. I can go back and watch it. Why the
Right.
fuck am I watching this now?
I still
Do
enjoyed
something
it,
new
though.
and funny now.
Did you guys like
That's
Big
like
Top
the-
Pee Wee?
Yeah,
I
loved
liked it.
I like that one too.
Like, did you guys watch the Cheech and Chong reunion
I did not.
thing?
No.
It was literally two old dudes doing the exact same jokes they did 50 years ago.
What do you want Cheech and Chong to do, though?
Write something new? 'Cause
But
they
that's
wrote
pretty
great
funny because
stuff.
Pee Wee Herman had a role in their first movie.
Yes, he did.
Hamburger.
So good. In that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to go weird on you
Okay.
guys.
Ooh.
Like I'm kind of expecting half the people in the room not to get it or know it. Running Scared.
Oh, dude. Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal.
Yes. With Jimmy Smits as the bad guy.
I've heard of this movie, but I've never seen
You
it.
guys have to see this
Yeah.
movie.
It is so good. It is so funny. It is Billy Crystal probably at the best of his comedy
Coked out of
chops.
his mind, too.
Yep. So everybody was. Everybody was.
It was
It's
the
an entire
80s.
movie of coked out funny people.
Entire decade
And it has Joe Pantoliano plays this scumbag
Imagine
drug dealer.
that.
I know, right? Joe
what a
Pantoliano
stretch.
plays Joe Pantoliano with color in his hair. That's
And this time he doesn't kill everybody in the Matrix either.
and he doesn't kill anybody. Well, he didn't have hair
Oh, that's
in the
right.
Matrix, so that's why he killed everybody.
Yeah.
But it is Jimmy Smits is it's such an 80s Miami Vice vibe for a good chunk of it, but then everything takes place in winter in Chicago and is just amazing.
It's awesome.
Amazing. It's not as quotable as half the movies of the 80s. It has a few great lines.
No, but this is kind of, honestly, this is like Lethal Weapon prior to Lethal Weapon. It's like a great, like, buddy cop comedy with action in it.
Yep. And it's Gregory Hines at the top of his game.
Oh, yeah.
He was so great in that movie. There was so little about that movie that I don't like. I actually watch this one a lot more often than I would like to admit. It's probably once every 2 months I watch that movie. And I can't help it. If I see it's on a streaming service, I have to put it on. I have to. It's just too funny. Oh, no. He give me all the money. All right, Mara.
Okay, I'm gonna go real basic bitch on you guys.
Ooh.
The Princess Bride.
Oh.
Oh, that's not basic.
That's not
bitch.
basic
That's
at all.
classic.
Is it? I thought that would be kind of like a stereotypical.
No,
Fuck no.
That movie is, again, it's another brilliantly crafted
It sure
movie.
is. It's just written good.
We touched on it earlier, and
It looks beautiful too.
it does, and everybody is so good in it. Like it's one of those ones, like Robin Wright. Sorry, the pen doesn't need to be there anymore. Robin Wright was so great in that movie.
Yeah.
And then she disappeared for 30 years and comes back in Wonder Woman and is great again.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, how the hell did that happen?
I know.
Oh, she did a lot in between.
But she didn't do anything big. Like she wasn't
she was
visible.
Jenny. Yeah, she was Jenny.
Oh, that was her, wasn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah. So
God,
tell
I
us
hate
why you love
Forrest
this
Gump.
movie. Expand. Give
Well,
us your reasons.
yeah, Princess Bride. That was one that I saw when I was a kid too. For the first time, and what's his name there? Carrie Ellis, one of my first crushes. I loved him.
Yeah.
Loved him.
Up until he cut his own arm off.
I thought he was the cutest guy in the whole world. So that was really like a big reason why I liked that movie when I was a kid, to be honest. And then as I aged, it's like the same thing. Like with with Beetlejuice, it's like you start to just get more of the jokes. You understand more things, and it just becomes funnier and funnier. And it's just that's always like just very impressive to me, that there's just so much to enjoy that even if you don't get half the shit, you're still gonna like it. The
perfect example of the impact that movie has, Jen and I started doing Tai Chi today. We left. I was in more pain than I have been in like 6 months when we left. And we got out to the car, and Jen's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I kind of feel like the torturer, the man with 6 fingers."
You're mostly dead.
I'm in so much pain, but it's very important that we know all about it. So it needs to all be documented. All the different types of pain I'm feeling right now. And I want me to be very honest about it. is how I described it to Jen. And she just looked at me like I'm a Martian. But
I loved it. See, when I was a kid, too, that whole torture scene and the recording the pain. I was just I love this so much.
Christopher Guest was so great in that scene. Do be honest. It's very important. It's very important to be honest.
And I was lucky enough to meet Carrie Ellis a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
At the con, and I have a picture with him.
He is so cool.
Was he coked out of his mind?
Huh?
No.
Was he coked out?
No.
He sobered up in the 90s.
He was very sober.
It's funny. Like at the cons, you can tell who's been hitting the bottle at the very least.
Oh, Henry Thomas.
Oh yeah, dude,
he was fucking blown the fuck out, dude.
Yeah, he was. So you guys heard the really tragic thing that happened while we were at con, right? Pauly Shore was there as a guest, and his dad died during the con.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Well, because me and Scott, we were walking up and down the halls in the party, and Pauly Shore was walking up and down the halls like all confused and didn't know where he was going and shit. And he had his assistant with him, and his assistant's yelling at him, going, "No, dude, this way." And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, holy shit, Pauly Shore is like fucking gonna be locked up. Like, but I didn't know his dad had just died.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. Sorry. I digressed.
Sidebar.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Princess Bride, though.
Oh,
So
Funny
good.
movie.
Rob Reiner had a hot streak like anybody
Stop.
else
Yeah.
making movies.
And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like one of the coolest things about that movie too is the framing. Well, I think that's how the book is too. The framing mechanism of the old man reading it to his grandson, and they think the kid thinks their worlds apart. As far as sensibility goes, but the story brings them together, and that's really heartwarming and cute, and
It's very sweet.
And I love that if you really pay attention, you basically find out that when the grandpa was a kid, he got it's just the circle of life thing going on with one story.
And that movie just really, really holds up to where I don't have kids, but if I did, I would show my kid that movie, and it kind of I imagine.
I did.
Did she like it?
She loves it.
Yeah. It holds up. I can't imagine a kid watching that movie and not liking it.
My kids love this movie too.
Yeah.
And they'll watch it repeatedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also has some of the greatest lines of all
Yeah.
time. Stop
Totally
that rhyming
quotable.
and I mean it.
Anybody want a peanut?
Inconceivable. You keep saying that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
What's he say? Don't ever mess with a Sicilian and their money? Or
No, never bet against a
That's what
Sicilian
it
when
is.
death's on the line. All movies I've watched way too many times that we're discussing tonight.
I know that movie is kind of like Princess Bride's one of my like feel good movies where like I'm having a bad day or if like
That's a
I'm
desert
just
island
like
movie for
depressed or something. I'm like, okay, what do I want to watch that's on the short list?
I love that movie because it covers so much more ground than just being funny. It's
Right.
funny, it's sweet, it's adventurous, it's a lot of stuff all happening at once.
Yeah.
And so you like no matter what your mood, it kind of works.
It really does because it's got the action and like you said, the adventures. There's a romance, and then there's also like the bromance too between what's his name and
Inigo Montoya.
and Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
They have a-
Fezzik and Inigo.
yeah.
Yep. Fezzik the Giant.
Yes, he's so great.
He
They're
is.
both great. I mean,
He is.
everyone's great in that one. no missteps.
I love the stories about Andre on set too. About
Dude,
how
I mean,
sweet he
like-
was.
Yeah.
Well, just he was such a gentle soul.
And I
Yeah.
loved
In general.
everybody talking about going out to dinner with him and how funny it was. Because he'd have 8 bottles of vodka and like 4 cases of beer
Yeah.
with dinner, and it wouldn't impact him at all because of his size. Mm-hmm. He'd just sit there and drink it all, just nonstop.
But I think it was to help with pain with his.
It was. He was
Yeah.
in constant pain.
Yeah.
Constant pain. And his heart was enlarged, and he had everything going on. Horrible.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah.
Very
sad,
tragic.
but sweet man, and he got to lead an amazing life that impacted a shit
Yeah,
ton of people.
I think on the special features on the Blu-ray I have, they had a whole retrospective on Andre the Giant, and apparently from that he had a really great time making that movie.
Yep.
Really great.
a
Now
great
I want to
movie.
watch. Now I want to watch My Dinner with Andre.
Liam.
All right, we're going back to Eddie Murphy
Oh.
with Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, gotta. That was my next one.
I love Eddie Murphy, and I think it's like Axel Foley is just a great character. Mm-hmm. He's just so much fun, and to have him bouncing off these very serious L.A. cops, and he's just kind of just being Eddie Murphy.
Uh-huh.
And there's just great set pieces. It also has some really great action sequences for a comedy, and it all gels.
Oh, it has amazing action sequences, and 2 even has better action sequences.
I also like 2.
I love 2. I was going to say 1 and 2 are great movies. 3 is garbage.
I have not seen 3.
I haven't seen 3 in years. I saw it one time.
Oh, I've seen it a lot more than that.
Yeah.
It's still garbage. It's terrible.
I saw Beverly Hills Cop in the theater.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too.
I didn't. I was a sperm and some
Yeah.
gas balls. So
Maybe you
I don't
wouldn't
even
stop
think
for
you were
me.
that.
It is just
I was
funny.
a holder.
I mean,
I was a holder.
we could do a whole show on Eddie Murphy, really.
Yeah.
I could sit down and do an Eddie Murphy night. Easy.
Yeah.
You could do it for Dolomite.
Yeah. Because that's coming out
Oh,
pretty
we
soon,
should do
isn't
it for Dolomite.
Yeah. Yeah.
They call me Dolomite.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, because, I mean, really, it was like the 90s where he started to fall off,
Yeah.
right?
Mid 90s. Mid 90s is when he started trying to make kid friendly stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when he did Dr.
Haunted Mansion, or he
Dr.
was in
Doolittle
that.
Little and Haunted Mansion and Daddy Daycare and all that terrible crap.
I worked at Suncoast
Oh, that's right.
from 1999 to like 2002,
Okay.
and during that whole time,
That's when I was there, by the way.
you could
That's
not.
so funny.
Yeah, you couldn't get Raw or what the other one was called. I can't remember.
Delirious.
Yeah, you couldn't get those on home video at the time.
No.
because he just didn't want to be associated with like the
felt
language.
foul-mouthed.
Yeah.
The filth flarn.
And I guess it had to
The
do with his
flarn,
kids. He
filth.
wanted to be the, daddy daycare guy. And
Yep. I remember that. I remember being really mad because I didn't have a copy of Raw.
I remember being very confused. Like, what? Why does he care about this all of a
Yeah, I
sudden?
know.
Someone was like, well, he has kids and he wants to make kid movies. And I was like, oh.
He still has kids.
So
That's
all
what
of a sudden
terrifies
you're-
me. Like,
so-
that dude has not stopped making babies
Really?
since the 80s.
Well, he's
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, whatever. The babies who were born now can know about my.
Now he's like,
My
whatever.
mouth.
He's like,
Yeah.
I'm too old to care about this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a grandfather. I don't care.
So my next one is kind of a weird one because it is really offensive now when you watch it. But
Color me
16 Candles.
Oh man.
Because like it is a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
And it is another time capsule look at the 80s. But dude, like the Long Duck Dong shit, you couldn't
No.
you can't and like I don't even know, like,
Yeah, you could.
you think you could still get away?
I think you could absolutely get away with it if you have an Asian director, an Asian writer, and an Asian actor doing it.
Okay.
And doing it for the laughs of making fun of white people,
It's-
not making fun of the Asian guy.
the
Because if you pay attention, he's actually offensive because he's dumb as a post.
he's dumb as a post, which kind of goes against the grain of how Asian people are typically portrayed on screen. It's a hilarious movie. Like I still laugh at it to this very day.
Oh, his
but-
scenes still they make me a little uncomfortable, but I still
What's
can't-
happening? Hot stuff.
I still cannot help
my-
but die laughing.
Yeah.
When Jake comes to the door and says, "I'm looking for Samantha," and she get married. What? She get married. What? And like, what are you deaf or what are you dumb or don't you speak English or whatever the hell it was that he says after that?
No more Yankee my wanky.
Dong, I need food. Yeah.
But
Wow. Yeah, it is amazing how bad that is.
the
now.
sexual context between him and the girl in that movie, and then the entire thing with Anthony Michael Hall's character and
Oh yeah, that's the
The
most
popular
uncomfortable thing
girl,
to go back and watch.
like I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, like this is total like rape going on here. Like
but is
she's
it? Well, it is, but it's really funny because neither of them remember doing anything.
neither of them
So it's
remember
like-
doing anything, but
Like
she's drunk, passed out in the car.
I know,
and he's trying to take sexual advantage of her.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
how is this ever? Like, I just don't get it.
like
How
when
is
was this
ever-
okay?
Yeah, so that was
When was this comedy?
that was 84.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just kind of weird. Like, the movie's still funny. There's
Yeah.
tons of funny shit in there. You know,
There's-
Grandpa's hyena. You know,
Yeah.
that shit.
Hernia.
Right.
Yeah.
Dong.
The grandpa. That movie. What's really funny to me is it makes fun of everybody
It does. Yes.
very accurately.
Yeah.
And it is offensive towards old people, white middle class
Yeah.
people,
Asian people.
the Italians.
And it promotes getting women drunk and taking advantage of them in the
advantage of
backseat
them.
of a car.
Yeah, I mean it has. It's just it's such a hard movie to say. Ooh, it's a classic, but at the same time, like I sadly grew up with it, so the comedy still resonates.
It's
with me.
ingrained on us. Now, like, Weird Science plays to a lot of the same, like, comedic elements, but the female is the main character in the movie, and she's, like, in control
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
Even though they created her, I
Yeah.
don't know. I kind of don't like that guy who makes those movies. I think he's really overrated.
Who made these? This was
John Hughes.
John Hughes,
John
really
Hughes.
overrated. To be honest, I put 16 Candles on when I was a teenager, and I shut it right off. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was like, this is really horrible. I can't believe that rape is funny.
Yeah, I'm
that was-
shocked that they got
the
away
rape
with all
scene
that.
never felt okay. It was everything else besides that.
Yeah.
The rape,
I never liked the
morning
whole
after
thing. I never
like,
liked
oh.
any of it. I find John Hughes to be really problematic to the point where I can't really like separate any of it, like at all. I don't.
Well, because a lot of his stuff is thematically similar.
Yeah,
A
it
lot of
is.
his movies.
It is. I've always felt that way too. I'm not. I mean, I remember like seeing that stuff for the first time in the '90s as a teen, and just.
I mean, he
kinda
does
being
have
like,
the stuff
eh.
that isn't thematically the same. That is
Planes,
absolute-
Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is fucking
Yeah,
wonderful.
I haven't seen
movie.
that one.
It's one.
I think I've only really seen the
teenage drama
ones. Yeah.
Teenage
Ferris
comedy
Bueller was different.
ones. Ferris Bueller was massively different.
God, we should have talked about that one.
I was
gonna-
going to.
Yeah.
that movie's problematic too, but I liked that one when I saw
Yeah.
it.
Well, we got like 5 minutes. We can talk about Ferris Bueller for a minute if you want.
Sure.
Or no, I don't care.
That was another one of my first crush movies.
Yeah.
I loved Matthew
Yeah,
Broderick. But I didn't like Matthew Broderick. I just liked Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's funny.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. I mean, because he is a kind of a caricature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was so cool, and I look back and I'm like, you're a narcissist.
Yeah. He's.
Oh, he so was.
Yeah.
He
And
so
that's
was. He
like the
was such a fucked
problematic
up-
thing about it.
He was such a
in
fucked
that
up human
movie.
being in
Yeah.
that movie.
Yeah.
And he's
Like the
kind
way
of like
he
a
abuses
hero.
Cameron.
He abuses like everyone, really.
Yeah.
The only one he's nice to is Sloane. Everybody
Yeah.
else he
Yeah.
uses. Sloane.
He's
Sloane,
kind of
he's-
still controlling and weird of her, and she doesn't really have much agency at all.
No, she has
kind of
no agency
she just
in the
kind of
movie.
goes along with it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
So he's only nice to her because she doesn't really have her
That
own
was
choice.
that was kind of Mia Sarah's '80s career, though, was being the girl that just gets thrown into the situation.
That's a lot of girls' careers in
Yeah.
the 80s,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Oh, yeah.
especially
Yeah.
movies like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean her and I was thinking of that in Legend
Yeah.
for her. Yeah,
Yeah, because in Legend she was like the.
I never saw Legend.
it's
Yeah.
it's a beautiful.
We got. I'm just gonna start like every podcast like recording a list.
Yeah,
over
just
here
write them all down.
so that we know which ones we have
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah.
Because Legend is an absolutely beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, both
Sure.
versions.
Yeah, directed by Ridley Scott.
Yeah. Well,
And I know so many like other people my age are just want to like beat me up for it because
Tim Curry in Legend
Yeah.
Oh,
is one of the greatest performances of a bad guy of all time. But back to Ferris Bueller. Not to diverge too far.
Yeah.
Funny goddamn movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is.
I think it's the funniest of the stuff John Hughes did.
see, I don't. I think
Which
Planes,
is-
Trains, and Automobiles.
I
is
do
by
like
far
Planes,
the
Trains,
funniest.
but I do.
And Uncle Buck.
Yeah. I haven't seen Uncle Buck in a while. I do like Uncle Buck. I like a lot of Planes, Trains, Automobiles because I also love the more dramatic stuff in that.
I like John Hughes movies once he had kids. One you can
Yeah, it kind
there's
of
a
chilled him
shift.
out a little bit.
There's a shift in his movies. There's pre-kids, and that's Weird Science and Breakfast Club was problematic, but not terrible like
there's some pretty
of those
bad stuff in there.
There's a couple of bad shit going on there, but it's not as heavy. But yeah,
Pretty heavy, but it's my
But yeah,
opinion.
that one.
Yeah.
And then his post when all of a sudden Uncle Buck, it's about about what makes you a good parent. You know what it was? It was when he started working with John Candy.
Yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
chilled him out a little bit.
Because I don't think John Candy would have been okay with any of that shit.
Probably not.
You know?
No.
I mean, how could you even cast him in something like that? It'd be kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but John Candy and Uncle Buck is one of the funniest things ever put on film.
Oh yeah, he was like at his peak at that time.
Yeah.
Candy was like, I mean, he was like ramping up.
Yeah.
You know.
And then Canadian Bacon.
Yeah, which was his final film.
Wagons East was his final film.
That's right. That's right.
Canadian Bacon, then Wagons East.
They can't all be
Like
classic.
talk about two movies that bombed turds in a row.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Hughes didn't even do that much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 movies.
And he just kind of
As a director, he barely did anything. As a writer, he
Yeah,
did.
he
Yeah.
wrote a
He
lot.
was prolific.
Yeah, as a
And
director.
good movies. I mean, he wrote
Yeah.
great movies. He just directed, like Mara said, problematic movies.
I would say Planes, Trains is probably my favorite of his.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, Uncle Buck are my two favorites.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. We're done for
That
tonight.
was great, though.
Yeah,
That
Everyone
was
had
a
such
good show.
awesome picks.
yeah.
Really
I could keep
nostalgic
going.
show.
Yeah.
I know. I got a few more on my list too.
I could probably do 10 more movies.
I probably could too.
But I
we're
don't
out of
want to.
time.
I'm tired. I have physical therapy.
Maybe we'll do a part 2.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
80s part 2.
I'm gonna put this as part 2 of the other 80s one we did a while ago. So we can keep
Oh.
we can
Well,
keep
we should
going
do
on
the
this.
Build
Fucking
make a trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. We need
Do
to
a
bookend it.
trilogy of them.
Yeah, trilogy.
All right. So this was episode 124. We'll be back next week. We are going to be discussing the Matrix trilogy next week
Yes.
and maybe talk about the new one a little bit. So, all right. Thanks for listening.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Night.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com. and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.